8, 9, 10. We got everybody. Good evening, everyone. This is the regular board meeting of the Ottawa Catholic School Board, the business meeting. Patrick, can you read the land acknowledgement, please?
Sure. We also acknowledge that Ottawa and the OCSB are located on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Algonquin people. We recognize their long-standing relationship with the land, which remains unceded.
Thank you. Father, can you lead us? You're going to go through the feast days and then lead us in prayer, please?
Okay. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Advent is a time of hope. God of hope, come, enter into the lives of all those I hold dear. The ones whose lives are marked with pain, struggle, and deep anxiety. Those whose lives bear ongoing heartaches, those whose difficulties threaten to overwhelm them with helplessness and despair. Come and gift them with a deep belief about you and your never-ending faithfulness and companionship. And we ask you this through Christ our Lord. Amen. And we pray for all our staff and students, extended family members, especially those who have lost their lives due to COVID-19. And we recommend the following persons who have passed away to your prayers. Elizabeth Joan McMillan, mother of Cindy McMillan, planning officer and grandmother of Natasha Truscott, maintenance clerk in the Planning and Facilities Department. Ted LaRose, retired teacher at St. Pius X High School and father of Ryan LaRose, principal, All Saints High School. Virginia Elizabeth Bissonnette, sister of Cindy Bissonnette, principal at Dr. F.J. McDonald School, and sister-in-law of Janet Bissonnette, retired office administrator. Edmund Kubaszewski, father of Danny Strickler, early childhood educator at St. Cecilia School. David Norrish, grandfather of Nicole Meyer, communicative disorder assistant in the Special Education and Student Services Department. Michael O'Halloran, father of Carmel Meyer O'Halloran, office administrator at St. Nicholas Adult High School. Joy McNally, mother of Kellyanne Madison, officer administrator at St. Michael Corkery School. Sen Lun Jean, grandmother of Catherine Jean, administrator assistant in the Special Education and Student Services Department. Cecile Fields, father of Amy Jewett, teacher at St. Nicholas Adult High School. Alan English, father-in-law of Kim LaSalle, coordinator of Student Success Elementary. Yvonne Prigent, father of Dean Prigent, teacher at St. Pius High School. May they and all our faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. A few words about one of our schools. When you drive to Montreal, you will see when you approach Montreal the oratory of St. Joseph in the distance on the side of the mountain. It is the work of St. Brother André, after whom one of our schools is named. Brother André was born Alfred Bisset on the 9th of August, 1845, in Saint Grégoire-le-Grand, 40 kilometers southeast of Montreal, in a poor family. His father was a bûcheron, a lumberjack, while his mother looked after the children, 13 of them, of whom 4 died young. His father died due to an accident in the woods when Alfred was 9 years old, and his mother died of tuberculosis when he was 12. So he was an orphan at that age, and afterwards was brought up by an aunt. He tried different trades, but none of them offered a good future because of his ill health and small stature. In 1862, he was apprenticed with a baker and a cobbler, and he later moved to New England to work. But after Confederation, he returned to Canada, where his parish priest presented him as a candidate to the Congregation of the Holy Cross in Montreal. And at his profession, he took the name of André. It is customary that when someone enters the religious life, and because it is a new life, a new name was chosen. The same goes for the popes, for example. Brother André was given the task of porter at the College of Notre Dame in Montreal. He said jokingly, they showed him the door. During his life, Brother André was a man of prayer and was known for that. His novice master said that if he could not work, at least he knows how to pray. He was also in charge of the sick at the college. And because of his care for the sick, he got the reputation of being able to heal the sick. Many visitors came with their illnesses and asked Brother André to pray for them. Many were healed, and his reputation as a thaumaturge spread. His dream was to establish a small oratory, a place to pray to St. Joseph, for whom he had a great devotion. Thanks to the gifts of the faithful, the idea came to construct a basilica. Terrain was bought, and construction began, and the building was finished in 1967. In the latter part of 1936, Brother André felt that the end was near, and he died on the 6th of January, 1937. He was canonized the 7th of October, 2010 by Pope Benedict XVI, and is our second Canadian saint and the most recent one. He can serve as an example for a prayer for everyone. His feast day is the 6th of January, the day of his death. And an interesting note I found is that some years ago, one of the students of Brother André's school was a distant relative of Brother André. Thanks.
Please stand. Thank you. Sorry about that. I didn't realize my mic turned off. Item C, department profile. We have a memo from the Superintendent of Human Resources, Human Resources job fairs and occasional teacher recruitment. Superintendent McCabe.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Tonight, I am very happy to be here with Valerie De Silva, Manager of Human Resources, and share with you some of our strategies for recruiting employees into a number of roles in our board. Naturally, Mr. Chair, teachers are the most common positions that we seek to fill as we grow as a school board, and we need to address backfills as a result of attrition and so on. It is interesting to note that so far this year, we have hired 189 permanent teachers and over 280 occasional teachers to help us meet our needs. And as you might guess, we have seen a slight increase in the number of retirements and leave requests as a result of the pandemic. In addition, since January the 1st of 2020, we have posted over 400 job opportunities for a variety of other roles in our board, including educational assistants, early childhood educators, custodial staff, administrative support positions, and so on. So needless to say, our HR staffing officers have been quite busy. Valerie will now take us through the slides on your agenda and outline some of our recruitment strategies for these roles. Thank you, Valerie.
Welcome, Ms. De Silva.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen. Thank you, Steve. So as Steve mentioned, I'm here today to share some information with you on work that we've been doing with job fairs and teacher recruitment. Moving to the next slide, please. We're always mindful, of course, of our 3 strategic commitments in the work that we do, and also very mindful of our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we look for ways in which we can highlight and demonstrate our Catholic values in the work that we're doing in that space. So, for example, with language that we have in our job postings, looking at that on an ongoing basis to make sure that we're really communicating the ways in which we welcome candidates from equity-seeking groups and the ways in which we want to build an inclusive workplace for our employees. In addition to that, we launched interview bias-free training last year, and we're able to put a number of our principals and managers through that program, as well as some of our HR team members. And we'll be looking to continue on with that this year, as well as develop a second part to that training to really take us into that topic even deeper. So our objectives with job fairs are the same in some ways with what we've done in the past, since as a team we've participated in job fairs in previous years, but also different this year, of course, partly because of the pandemic, certainly, but also because of the way in which we're trying to approach them and really get a stronger connection with potential candidates. So our objectives there are to engage through a selection of educational institutions and government agencies to really showcase opportunities with the board, to increase our pool of candidates, and to demonstrate the wide range of roles for which we hire. So moving on to the next slide, please. You can see our schedule for job fairs that we are going to be partnering with institutions with over this fall and into the early part of next year. And in terms of representation from our board, we have a combination of our staffing officers as well as principals who are working together in terms of the presentations and the interviews that we do with candidates. And there are some more that we'll be looking to add on into the February-March timeframe that we're still waiting for some clarifications on or confirmations on. But this is a really healthy list that we've really been had a chance to dig into, and we'll be looking to continue on after the break in the new year, starting with Queens. Moving to the next slide, please. The next few slides will give you a snapshot of some of the content from our job fair presentation, which is newly developed this year. And it was designed to be visually appealing, to really draw our candidates in, and most importantly, to help them to get a real sense of what it's like if they were to join our board. So starting off with some information about Ottawa, because we're certainly also targeting candidates who don't necessarily live in the city or in the environs. And then moving on to the next slide, we also spent quite a bit of time in our presentation talking about our faith-based education, something that we're really proud about and want to make sure that candidates know is something that really underpins everything that we do. And we have some compelling words here from Pope Francis talking about what education is about, the role of educators, and how we really permeate that through the work that we do with our students. Moving on to the next slide. We also talk about deep learning and that framework and how that distinguishes us as well as an organization, and the recognition that we've received globally for that, something that I think would really speak not just to teacher candidates, but to candidates for a number of roles in the organization that are looking to join an organization that has that kind of really broad view about the services that we offer. And then if you move to the next slide, we also talk about some elements of a value proposition. So for example, talking about the environment that we can offer, the career and professional growth that our teachers and others can experience working with us, the mentoring program that we have for new teachers, and our salaries and benefits as well. Moving to the next slide, please. One of the other things that we have pulled into our job fair presentation is testimonials from our new teachers. So using their own words to describe what it's been for them in terms of process for joining the board and what it's been in terms of their experience working with us. And this is something that we're going to look to continue to gather in terms of testimonials, working with our communications colleagues to see how we can use them in a number of our other recruiting efforts. And then if we move to the next slide. I also wanted to spend some time talking about our teacher recruiting strategy in other ways. So some of the things that we have currently underway. One is the continuous intake that we're doing with our OT applicants. So that's something that we're regularly doing in terms of interviewing applicants that are sending in their information to us on a weekly basis, and then looking to make sure that we move them along in the new hire process as quickly as possible, so that we can get them working for us and that they can get information on the assignments that we have available. In addition to that, in November, we launched a new bi-monthly communication with our OT group to really information that would be valuable.
Not sure, Mr. Chair, if you can still hear Valerie. I think she may have frozen on her screen there. I'll pick it up from there. She was referring to, and I'm sure she'll join us in a second, just opportunities to create stronger connections by making sure our OTs know about opportunities, and we have properly accessed the ATE system so that they can know about their assignments and so on. You are aware that we are using classroom supervisors to mitigate any gaps in coverage. These classroom supervisors have been a big help to us where an OT was not available. We did find with the pandemic that we believed a number of occasional teachers were delaying in their response to occasional teaching opportunities just to wait things out. For example, a number of our retired staff were not picking up jobs. However, it did happen that others were certainly helping us out. So that was a very positive strategy. In addition, you can see on this slide here other strategies in development. We have a recruitment campaign. We're using social media platforms, and it's been fabulous to work with our communications department to have opportunities to work with LinkedIn, for example, or Facebook, etc. Our social media success has really helped us meet the right audience to attract people to different positions and so on. And as again, you can see some of the other strategies in terms of raising awareness and getting out there in recruitment. Our partnerships, I think, are the strongest thing that we sort of wanted to emphasize in terms of helping people find out about who we are and so on. Word of mouth and reputation in the community is clearly important. And when you are a top employer, for example, it does attract people to our organization. And so we do feel quite blessed that we have lots of candidates who do seek to join us. And that has gone very well. So we have lots to learn in terms of recruitment, and we do speak to other school boards in Eastern Ontario, for example, and try to find out, Mr. Chair, what is working out there. But we do think that we are meeting with lots of success, and hopefully Valerie will join us and we can take some questions. Be happy to answer some.
Thank you.
There's Valerie.
Trustee Armstrong?
Hello, Valerie. Just one question. How have the numbers of teacher training applications been impacted by the pandemic?
So with respect to the placements or practicums that we have?
It would be like university applications, new people who want to go to university for teaching.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Valerie, if you're okay, I'm happy to take that. We have been working with the universities, and I'm happy to report that they have not noticed a huge decrease in numbers of applicants to teaching roles. So those deans of education have reported to us that they're confident the numbers stay strong and that the teaching profession is still a very attractive profession for people.
Just a comment, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
That I just read an article in England. They've actually seen an increase in teacher applications. So I was just wondering how things are in Canada. Thank you.
Trustee Simpson.
Valerie, through you, Mr. Chair, Valerie, I was wondering if you could just clarify a little bit the role of the classroom supervisor. I'm just interested in how they help with filling in gaps. It's a new role to me.
Of course. So classroom supervisors are lists that we've had in years past. We're calling them unqualified teachers, for example, would be another term that we have used for them. And they're used only in situations where we're not able to have coverage for teachers filled by a qualified teacher, so by someone on our OT roster. And this year, because of COVID and the impacts of the pandemic, we've certainly seen an increase in terms of some of the challenges we've had in terms of getting that coverage. And so we've really done some work to boost up the list that we have with our classroom supervisors so that when necessary, we are able to call on them to ensure that we do have coverage in our classroom.
Trustee Lawrence?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Valerie or Superintendent McCabe. On that list, I noticed St. Lawrence College, and it said CYC. What does that mean? Under, the others had BED.
Yeah, I'm happy to explain that. CYC stands for Child and Youth Worker.
Okay, good, thank you. And just one comment. Having gone to the best school of education in the Atlantic provinces, I'm just wondering, and I see there on the list, Mount St. Vincent, I'm delighted, but curiosity is killing the cat here. Where's St. of X? Are you still negotiating with them, or are they not coming this year?
Yeah, there's a number of universities that we are still having some discussions with. Not all of them have settled on when they're going to be having their job fairs, because it's something that new for them as well in terms of certainly how they want to put that on. So yes, there'll be more coming in the new year in February and March, and we're hopeful that that will be one of them.
Great, it's all right though. The Mount's the best anyway. So thank you.
Question answered, Trustee Lawrence. Trustee Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Superintendent McCabe or to Mr. Silva. When you're going to these job fairs or recruiting teachers, what permanent teachers especially, what is the role of the principal? Does the principal come to you and say, I'm short a grade 3 teacher, and then you go and hire one? Or what is the principal's role in the procedure, and how does that work out? Because we did have that. I guess it's always been an issue that principals are presented with 5 names of teachers and they pick one of them and stuff. So how does that all work out?
So when we're going to the job fairs, we're meeting with teacher candidates, and so the process there is to have certainly representation from our principals, because they can really speak to the journey that they've had, the career journey that they've had with the board, and can sort of paint that picture, for these new teachers about what that path could look like for them. And so it's a shared effort or a combined effort between the principals and members of the HR team, and we go out to these job fairs to really give them a deep understanding of what it would be like for them as a board, as employees, if they were to come to us and join the board.
So
You had it, John.
So you're not hiring them for a specific position. You're just encouraging them to come to our board. Is that right?
Yeah. At the time that we're generally meeting with them, they may not have completed the program yet, so they may not be in a position to actually be ready for hire. But they're on that path, and so what we want to do is to make sure that we're having those interactions with them as they're making those decisions about where they want to be working once they do complete the program and have all of their appropriate documentation in place.
So they would later apply to our board for a position, and then the other process would take place, or the hiring process would take place.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Coburn.
Yeah, this is probably more to Trustee or to Superintendent McCabe than it is to Mr. Silva. What are our vacancies numbers right now, Steve? Or do we have vacancies with regards to full-time occasional teachers and the different sectors? Do you have approximate numbers of what our vacancies are?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. It's sort of an ongoing number, of course, because as I said, we have retirements or leave requests, etc. So right now, I'm happy to report we're in a very good situation in terms of positions filled. We would have a handful of vacancies in the French area, especially. We have some in technology. So we do have these positions filled, but the ministry allows us to fill them with these temporary letters of approval. But in the meantime, we still seek to recruit people who would fill these positions with these qualifications. So there are no positions with no teacher in the classroom, but there may be positions we're still looking to get the qualified person in that role. In the meantime, as I said, the ministry has allowed us to put a temporary teacher in that position.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Curry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Superintendent McCabe or Mr. Silva. Are there any what are the strategies, or are there strategies to try to increase the diversity of the teaching staff? Is that a focus for you, or is that a concern, so that we have a teaching staff that reflects the community and the student body?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's absolutely a huge focus. I will let Valerie touch on that again. It was just probably too briefly mentioned in the slideshow, but absolutely it is a priority. Thanks, Valerie. Sure.
So that's certainly a huge focus area for us in terms of looking at our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. So some of the things that we have been doing in that space, looking at our our overall processes with our recruitment to see, where we may have barriers, unintended, that may not be as welcoming for candidates from equity-seeking groups. So one of the things I mentioned earlier was that we're looking, for example, at our job postings, because that's very often one of the first ways in which candidates sort of see anything from us. And so looking at the language that we have in there to make sure that we are being more explicit and more communicative about the fact that we do welcome candidates from equity-seeking groups. And then some of the things that we're doing with our existing employees as well, and our managers and principals, looking at interview bias-free training, so that we start to be more aware and conscious of some of the pitfalls that we may run into when we're meeting with candidates and making those hiring decisions, so that we're more aware of the broader lens that we need to take in these kinds of processes. So some of the things that we're doing, but certainly work that we'll be continuing to focus on in the year ahead, and with the equity framework that we have in place.
Is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Valerie. Thank you very much, Mr. McCabe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We're moving on to item D, which is delegation. We have Mohammed Eminal Islam, spokesperson for the Mother Language Lovers of the World Society. It's an introduction to the International Mother Language Day on February 21st in our school yearly calendar.
Mark, did we move the last item?
It was just a report. It was a profile, a departmental profile. Go ahead.
Okay. Honorable Chairperson, respected trustee board members, and everybody, good evening. On behalf of Mother Language Lovers of the World Society, I thank you all giving us the opportunity to attend here. I am the president of Mother Language Lovers of the World Society, and I am accompanied with Shah Bahauddin, he is Director for Implementation. Today we are presenting the topic, Introduction of International Mother Language Day in the School District. So, are the projector on in a slide? Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. The second slide, project proposal. My proposal is the active implementation of International Mother Language Day and promotion of mother languages among the students of elementary level by appointing the mother language ambassador in the school. So I want to go to the next slide. Okay. International Mother Language Day. It is the day to be observed internationally, globally, and to be celebrated by all mother languages that could be First Nation, Aboriginal, various immigrant languages, indigenous languages, and even the linguistic for minorities, for example, Braille and sign languages and their speakers. So what is Mother Language Lovers of the World Society? This is our organization. From this organization, for the first time in 1998, we proposed to the UNESCO to declare 21st February as International Mother Language Day. So why UNESCO recognized 21st of February as International Mother Language Day? Because in 1952, on 21st of February, a number of Bangla-speaking people sacrificed their life to save and establish their mother tongue as state language. Therefore, this is a very significant and inspirational day that has been adopted by UNESCO. Next slide. The purpose of International Mother Language Day, there are 6,000 to 7,000 spoken mother languages around the world, but think about Canada. It is a multicultural country, just like a salad bowl, where each culture coming from any part of the world, they keep their individuality with their own distinct quality, identity, and languages. Therefore, each and every language plays a great role for the construction of multiculturalism. So it is very important to preserve and developing our culture and heritage. It fosters the international understanding and helps to build the global citizenship. Next slide, please. As you know, UNESCO, they declared the International Mother Language Day in 1999. From then onwards, they are working on it. So they have a Sustainable Development Goal Vision 2030, and UNESCO believes in the importance of culture and linguistic diversity for international solidarity. Therefore, they have developed this Sustainable Development Goal. So the main goal of this vision is language and quality education, language and education in minor mother tongue, language and gender equality, language and economic growth, language and reduction of inequalities, language and peace, justice, and humanity. UNESCO also offers every year some annual theme on International Mother Language Day, so that on the basis of this theme around the world, people can research, study, and learn about their mother languages. For example, in 2019, the International Mother Language theme was Indigenous Languages Matter for Development. And this year, in 2020, the theme was Language Without Borders. Next slide, please. With a Canadian perspective, in Canada, more than 200 immigrant languages are reported. So linguistic diversity has been extended beyond the 2 official languages. On the other hand, Canada is the home of many indigenous languages. Listed indigenous mother tongue is 89. Out of 89, 4 are extinct, and out of living 85, 14 are very endangered. Next slide, please.
Mr. Speaker, just to let you know, you're approaching 5 minutes, so you'll need to start to wrap up.
Okay, this is the mother language model. We took a pilot project in the city of Surrey. Now it is called BC model, a revolution model for implementation of Mother Language Day. Phase 1, we have created the awareness. So we achieved the government recognition. We have created Mother Language Monument for permanent reminder. We have established community participations for like Mother Language Festival, etc. At this part of the project, we thought we need to remember one thing from the quotation of Chinese philosopher Confucius. He said, if you want to remember something for a short time, do the seminar, meeting, etc. If you want to remember something yearly, celebrate the anniversary. But if you want to remember something years after years and generations after generation, then introduce in the school system. So we have done this in the school system because we targeted the students, because the students are children are the carrier of mother languages, and to facilitate, we targeted the school because this is the good place for the study for generation after generation. So there we have our active implementation process. We are going to the next slide, please.
Have to ask you to conclude at this point. We will leave a copy of your presentation with all the trustees, but if you want to have any last remarks, unfortunately your time is done for a delegation.
Okay, thank you. My last remarks is that for the model of implementation in the school district, the basic resources available from UNESCO and our organization. For example, the annual theme from the UNESCO, information packages, videos, and mother language committee. Would request school board to form mother language committee for yearly celebration and creating awareness through presentation, seminar, counseling, classroom talks, etc. And mother language ambassador, we request school board to elect or select, the mother language ambassador. Those could be volunteers from the teachers. And the religion celebration, regional celebration with the city of Ottawa. The ambassador can share their languages with the peer ambassador in students. Thank you. So any questions?
Thank you very much.
I can finish my presentation anyway.
Is there any questions or comments? Trustee Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Islam. Why are you restricting it to elementary schools, or why are you not expanding it to high schools?
Yeah, that is a very good question,
Mr.
So
Chair,
we are taking
Chair,
segment.
point of order, Mr. Chair. Just a reminder that points and questions should just be on the presentation, not about substance and content.
Thank you. If you could make your answer very short, please.
Yeah, well, because children, they are the carrier of mother languages. They are very much acquainted with their mother tongue. So we have started from the elementary school. In course of time, it will go to the higher school and college and onwards.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for your presentation. I understand that there's copies will be delivered to all of the trustees, and I understand that we already recognize this. So thank you for your presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Moving on to item E, there's no public session. Approval of the agenda. Can I get a mover, please? Trustee Coburn and Trustee Moore. That the agenda for the regular board meeting on December 15, 2020 be approved as presented. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Declarations of conflict of interest? None. Confirmations in the minutes of the regular board meeting November 24, 2020. Can I have a mover, please? Trustee McEwen. Seconded by Trustee Lawrence. That the minutes of the regular board meeting of November 24, 2020 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The annual general meeting minutes. Can I have a mover to receive them, please? Trustee Armstrong. Seconded by Trustee Simpson. That the minutes of the annual general meeting of December 1st, 2020 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Unfinished business from previous meetings? None. Trustee motions? None. Presentation and consideration of committee reports. Item K1, memo from the Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services, re the SEAC minutes of October 21st, 2020.
You receive, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do I have a mover, please? Trustee Moore, seconded by Trustee Lawrence. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services dated November 26, 2020, and entitled Special Education Advisory Committee Minutes of October 21st, 2020 be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 2, memo from the Director of Education, re Parent Involvement Committee Minutes of October 20th, 2020. Mr. D'Amico.
The minutes are to be received, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. A mover? Trustee Curry. Seconded by Trustee Simpson. That the memorandum from the Director of Education dated December 9th, 2020, and entitled Parent Involvement Committee Minutes of October 20th, 2020 be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item L1, memo from the Superintendent of Leading and Learning, re Equity Update Black Student Forum. Superintendent Keeley.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I am very pleased this evening to introduce you to two of our student leaders, Francis Insala from St. Peter and Maria Punyang from Notre Dame High School. They will be sharing with you the highlights of our OCSB's first Black Student Forum that was held on November 19th. This day was planned and led by our senior students from across the board and were supported by staff. I would like to acknowledge Chooks Imbahiabi and Nicola Whitehouse, who are here to support our presenters this evening. This day had ground rules to ensure it was a safe space for all participants, and all sessions were supported by clinicians from our Special Education Student Services Department. As such, this evening's presentation will preserve that safe space and will not share personal information or specific examples. I would like to hand it over to Francis and Maria to start the presentation.
Welcome, ladies.
Good evening, everybody. I do just need to interrupt. Maria has been removed from the meeting. I believe it would have been an accident. She is having difficulty at this time to log back in because of that. I'm wondering if we could have some support for her. And Francis, he is with us, but if we could get Maria back, that would be fantastic.
I will try to access Maria. Give me 1 minute if you want to move forward.
Thank you very much. Francis, are you there?
Yes, hello. Hello.
Fantastic. Hi. Okay, I am going to take over the presentation if you are comfortable beginning while we wait for Maria to join.
Ooh, we need Maria here for the beginning.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just invited Maria back into the meeting.
Thank you.
So she should have an email. I don't know if she's checking her email, but it would be worth if somebody texted her and said to check her email.
The marvels of technology and virtual meetings. Everybody can have a sip of their coffee or tea or water.
Mr. Chair, is Spencer still with us?
Spencer is feeling ill and signed off.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Maria has rejoined the meeting. I understand.
Fantastic. Maria, if you can hear us now, great. You can present your screen and begin the presentation.
Okay. Can you all see?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. Today, Francis and I will be presenting the Black Student Forum, the workshops that were created by Black students for Black students, the lessons learned, and the next steps that staff and students can take on to address issues affecting Black students.
I'm Francis Cinciolo. I created and designed the logo for the Black Student Forum. I also helped lead Workshop A, which was micro and macroaggressions, and I'm a St. Peter High School student in grade 11.
I'm Maria Punyang. I helped lead Workshop B, which was unconscious and systemic bias, and I'm a grade 12 student at Notre Dame High School.
Welcome, Francis and Myra.
Pardon?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First and foremost, we are happy to be here, but we would like to say that we will not be disclosing any personal information pertaining to these topics. The event that took place focused on generating a brave space for Black students, and the anonymity of those that contributed will be protected. Secondly, we are very grateful to all the counselors that offered clinical support on the day of. They were present the entire day during these very difficult discussions, and their attendance was deeply appreciated. So, what we would like to share with you all. We would like for you all to understand the different workshops, learn what they consisted of, and what other students took away from it.
As well as issues affecting us, how the workshops are related, action plans, and how it impacted students. So, in Workshop A, we touched upon the topic of micro and macroaggressions. We spoke about the differences between the two. A microaggression is an act of discrimination towards a specific member of a group. For example, you speak very well for a Black person. And a macroaggression is an act of discrimination towards an entire group of people. Something like making traditional clothing against school rules, like not allowing students to wear headscarves. Another topic we touched upon was the concept of gaslighting. Gaslighting is when you manipulate an individual into questioning their own statement or memory or even their own reality. For example, if a student is making a complaint towards staff, and the staff member's initial reply is, was it really that bad or did you blow it out of proportion? We also touched upon topics such as how they occur in a school environment, and as well as how you can recognize them.
Workshop B focused on unconscious and systemic bias. So in this workshop, we defined unconscious bias, also known as implicit bias, as well as systemic bias. We provided real life as well as day-to-day examples, and we explained how systemic bias feeds implicit bias. We actually used the example of streaming in Peel District School Board, where 53% of Black students were in academic and 39% in applied, whereas white students were 81% in academic and only 16% in applied. Now, this is in Peel, but studies do show that time and time again that Black students everywhere are in fact disproportionately affected by streaming. The theme of our workshop was Think Prism. We felt that a glass prism truly embodied what the workshop was about. As white light enters a prism, that signified because of white supremacy, we have been conditioned to think a certain way and to have certain biases, but a rainbow emerges, showing that we can have a variety of thought processes and what goes in does not have to be what comes out.
In Workshop C, we spoke about an actual Black Student Association. We spoke about things like discussing the staff members, basically how you can improve upon the association and how teachers can get involved, creating a BSA, forming an organization within the BSA and branching out to expand your BSA, even outside your school, within the school, as well as the purpose of the BSA.
Workshop D focused on Black Student Mentorship Program. So this is a program that's actually within the Black Student Association in partnership with it. The seniors would be the mentors and the juniors would be the mentees. It was very action plan focused. They gave specific ideas and instructions on how exactly to construct this program and how to implement it. They were also very value oriented. Respect, honesty, communication, responsibility, and support were often spoken of and clearly very valued. They also shared their own lived experiences on anti-Black racism and how they dealt with it, which just reinforces how not only important it is, but also how necessary it is to have these to help younger students navigate.
In this workshop, we discussed mental health and wellness and how it relates to Black students. To its simplest terms, mental health is the well-being of oneself mentally. How this affects Black students can stem from forms of microaggressions like making statements such as, "You look whitewashed," or "When I saw you, you looked intimidating." While there's a lot of confusion on mental health, the distinction between mental health and mental illness should always be clear. While mental health is an individual's mental well-being, mental illness, again, to its simplest terms, are traits characterized by a person's way of thinking, mood, and behavior that stems from distress. We also touched upon making plans and intentions. For example, a short-term or long-term goal, like looking to improve mental well-being for the long run. We also spoke about being self-aware. And lastly, we spoke about assumptions towards Black students in the community. Assumptions such as thinking a Black individual acts a certain way because of the way they dress, walk, or talk. There are also stigmas around mental health, especially in the Black community, that in and of itself can be a cause of distress and bottled up emotion.
At the end of the forum, this brought us to commit to an action plan within our own schools based on the 5 workshops. We extracted measurable targets from each topic to implement into our own schools. It was important that despite our own painful experiences within the board that we've had as Black students, we are still committed to change those experiences and to continue to grow a positive future for those at OCSB. We've had many realizations during these action plan meetings within ourselves with our peers. We recognize the need for change and the development and for further discussion. Some measurable targets were as simple as creating vocabulary lists for words introduced at the workshops, creating a list of identifiers for macroaggressions, microaggressions, and gaslighting, encouraging positive and inclusive language, continuing to have deeper discussions on bias, creating schedules for the BSA program, and on a larger scale, creating guiding principles for staff to follow and resources that they can seek out to develop more understanding. And finally, connecting the BSA with student services. This day was very important to us, but it was also a good opportunity for white educators to be informed without taking the focus off of Black students and without it being an emotional burden. Finally, this is just some feedback from students that attended. Honestly, I have nothing to say. Everything was spot on amazing.
Longer time for people to have a chance to speak about their experiences.
I don't have any suggestions for the improvement for next year's Black Student Forum. The Black Student Forum this year was amazing. I really enjoyed it. The suggestion is to keep working hard and supporting each other.
A suggestion for improvement would probably be to make as many meetings as possible and possibly try to have them in person so no one gets scared of speaking or anything?
So as you can see, it is all very positive and encouraging feedback. Only real feedback is that they want to see more of it, more frequently, to see it grow, to have it around them. So we thank you for inviting us here, and we hope you appreciate this and understand truly how crucial this work is to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Is there any questions or comments, please? Trustee Moore, then Trustee Curry, then Trustee Coburn, then Trustee Lawrence. Sorry, Armstrong.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about the BSAs, and I'm not sure who'd be best to answer it, but do you see the BSAs as just a mentoring organization or as well as a social organization that people would meet during lunch times just to hang out sometimes, a way to meet people and new directions, I guess?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we see the BSA as a sort of just like a general community where we can help the Black students within this community, as well as not only mentor them, but as like a sort of fallback to where they can easily just come to us whenever they need any sort of help with any of their struggles.
Okay, thank you. May I ask a follow-up, sir? I'm going to take that as a yes. So about the BSAs again and the mentorship role. Do you see teachers as mentors, or this year we have a Black graduation coach? Would that be the type of mentor you're looking for? Or do you have some wishes about the type of mentorship?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I think that it's important to branch out as the mentorship program wanted to, and to have people from our community to participate as well, and to have, as I stated, the senior students participate in that, but also Black educators as well to be involved in that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trustee Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Maria and Francis, for your presentation. I found it very impactful. And I was just wondering, how many students attended the Black Student Forum, and were they representative of it? Were there people there or students there from every high school in the board, or not? Thanks.
Through you, Mr. Chair, over 115 students attended, and yes, it was board-wide. In fact, it was a great turnout.
Trustee Coburn.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the presentation. It was excellent. Somebody as old as me sometimes doesn't think they can learn something, but I learned a number of phrases today that I wasn't familiar with. When I see something as impactful as this, my hope is that it gets spread out to a wider audience. I know you had a lot of participants through this, and I saw the plan to extend it out within your school community. So maybe if you could speak a little more to that, because I think this is something that clearly needs to be shared beyond the group that met to put this together.
Through Mr. Chair, could I ask one of the teachers if Miss Whitehouse could help me on this?
Sure.
Maria, you go ahead. I know you would like to answer that. Thank you, Francis.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair. Well, we actually, at the end of the forum, it was divided into multiple parts. We had action planning meetings within our own schools for next steps. So we talked with our own principals, educators, guidance counselors, as well as everyone that attended, including students. So we've already taken those next steps, and I think that it was board wide, and I agree it needs to be boiled down and to be shared in our own school communities. So that's why having the Black Student Association is not only important, but it's necessary, I think, so that we can share this information. And we actually had an idea that we would be a Black Student Association, so exclusively for Black students to have that sense of community, but we could also have allyship days where other people come in and they can participate and learn from us without it being an emotional burden. on us and they can come and learn. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Armstrong.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So for students that want to learn more about the Black Student Forum, is there any place that they can go to find more resources to inform themselves more about the organization, like a website or anything like that? Thank you.
All right. So through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have a website. I think I can't get it from the top of my head, but we do have a website. It has all the information there. It has basically everything you'd need about the Black Student Forum. If I can just find it, I could link it into chat.
Or we could have the director maybe give it to us at the end or something.
Oh, yeah, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Father Saunders. You need to unmute.
Yeah.
There we go.
This is addressed to Black students. Have you ever thought of the people from Asian origin or of other races for whom there is a certain amount of prejudice as well?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Oh, yes.
Do you think of expanding it to the other races as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So while we acknowledge that other races as well, Asians, Hispanics, and everybody else, they experience struggles. We saw this. We've seen a really disproportional rate with Black individuals within this community. So maybe in the future we could then branch out to Asians and Hispanics and sort of make their own sort of community so that they could have the help that they need. But in the meantime, we're just tackling the Black individuals in our community first and foremost, and then we can get everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee McEwen.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. It's just a comment. I found your presentation so well laid out and the visuals so enticing. So thank you very much for that. I did, like Trustee Coburn mentioned, I did learn quite a bit. So good luck, and you guys are amazing.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments? Well, thank you very much for your presentation. And as you've heard from the trustees, it was a worthwhile event that people are learning new things, and that's always a good thing. Maybe we can touch base with you later in the year and see how things are coming. So I need a mover to accept the presentation, please. Trustee Coburn and Trustee Armstrong. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Leading and Learning dated November 9, 2020, entitled Equity Update Black Student Forum be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And just to let the two of you know, I know someone just signed off, we'll be mailing you a gift card from Chapters in appreciation of your presentation. So thanks again. We can't slide it through the computer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Item L, and you're welcome to stay if you wish. These are exciting meetings. Item L2, memo to the Superintendent of Student Success Elementary, Social Entrepreneurs Program. Welcome, Superintendent Montgomery.
Thank you. I am just sharing my screen. Hopefully you're seeing that. So through you, Mr. Chair, I am pleased to have Kim LaSalle, Elementary Student Success Coordinator and lead on this initiative, join me to share with you this good news item on how the Social Entrepreneur Program brings deep learning alive with a focus on learning partnerships. We will do a walkthrough of the website to highlight resources and some of the successes. We were also excited to share the partnership we have with Shopify as the first school district in Canada using their actual software with our students. We thank Superintendent Shimmons and her privacy officer, Hilary Close, for reviewing the details regarding finance and privacy to ensure the process is secure. I'd now like to welcome Kim LaSalle, who is going to take over the presentation from here.
Welcome,
Good
Ms. Bell. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I am so pleased to be here with Superintendent Montgomery to share this exciting learning opportunity in the OCSB. So a little background, in the spring of 2020, we were advised that funding for regional programming support for the Learning Partnership EA venture was no longer available. So at that time, a team of educators, business mentors, and principals worked collaboratively between March and August and created the OCSB Social Entrepreneurs Opportunity. This work aligned the focus, included aligning the focus, resources, and OCSB SEP site with our board theme, strategic commitments, focus on Catholic social justice, and the deep learning framework. So throughout this learning opportunity, students and educators work collaboratively with an experienced volunteer business mentor to research social issues, select a charity, develop a product, a service, or an awareness, and build out a social enterprise. This student-driven opportunity is a full-year focus that educators are able to embed in many curriculum areas. So we're stressing here that raising money is not a requirement for this program. Lots of students and their mentors and classes take on building awareness and building campaigns about social issues. So any profits that are raised, they go to support a charity chosen. So students learn a great deal about building a social enterprise from start to finish, are engaged in many, many roles. So this includes exploring things like profit margins, marketing, documentation, presentations, cost analysis, community outreach, sales, building websites, and so much more. We presently have 19 experienced business mentors supporting many classes, and that includes kindergarten to grade 7. We have, the program is also supported by an interdepartmental team. And as well, we have a mentor, which we call him our mentor champion, and he is Richard White, and he's also a mentor at 2 of our schools. This year and last year, he was a mentor for the first time at St. Elizabeth School. So through this experience, students start from a place of empathy and awareness, and they move to a place where they can take action. And that's the biggest part of this program, is that we're moving from just an awareness about a social issue to what can we do about it. So we want students to see entrepreneurship as a possible career choice. And we hope that we do hear students in the OCSB saying, I want to be an entrepreneur. So we're going to take a walk through the SEP site. And this was a site that was created by the team over the spring and the summer to house resources and any updates, and really to support educators, mentors, and students as they engage in this exciting venture. So if we take a look at the homepage, we can see that there is an overview of the framework. This is where we have we highlight different videos. We change these up a lot. Our Twitter feed is linked there as well. So if you'd like to follow the program, it's #OCSBSEP. And this week we are highlighting the partnership with Algonquin College Makerspace. So you'll see that where Superintendent Montgomery is shining her cursor. There's a little visual of students have been provided with virtual access to the facilities at Makerspace at Algonquin, where they can engage in cutting using laser cutters, 3D printers, and other design tools without even going to the college. So that's what's the most amazing thing about this, is from their Chromebook, they can actually activate the laser printing. And so some of our schools have designed, you will see this when we look at it closer at the Shopify stores, they've designed ornaments, Christmas ornaments, and had them laser printed with our partners at Algonquin. You'll also see across the top, we have a variety of resources that have been created and shared to support the work that, that schools are doing. So for instance, under the primary junior tab, you will see a selection of resources with activities and lesson plans. So there's a primary one, there's a junior one, and we also have intermediate resources as well. So you'll see just as an example, there's an interactive bookshelf that houses all sorts of resources, including lesson ideas, books, videos, and websites. If we go back under the Home tab, you'll find a list of participating schools, among other things. And you will also see that some of them have links and some of them have their business name already, and some are still under development. So you'll see links to their web stores as well, the Shopify stores under this tab. We also have some partners, and two of our biggest partners right now, and we're always building and looking for new partners, but Shopify, as Superintendent Montgomery mentioned, is one of our big supporters. So they have allowed all of our schools to have their own web store with no cost to us. So no fees involved at all. And that's provided to any school that wants to be involved. And Algonquin Makerspace has been a big partner as well, and will continue throughout the year making connections with them. Under Home as well, we have the working team created documents and resources that explicitly link the competencies and the 4 elements of deep learning and the Catholic graduate expectations. So within here, you'll see lots of links and examples of how this work connects so nicely to all of the work we do in the Ottawa Catholic School Board. The site is being updated regularly as educators and mentors contribute content, and there are spaces for all of the schools to add to a shared slide deck as well. So we can always support the work that they're doing and share with others. So let's take a look at a few of the Shopify stores. So we'll look at St. Anthony's. So St. Anthony's students created beautiful Christmas cards, and I just received my package in the mail today. And they sold them on the Shopify store, and they have been selling for the last 2 weeks, and I believe their sales will probably close by tomorrow, so they can make sure they get their deliveries. Both St. James and St. Emily designed ornaments that were laser cut by our partners at Algonquin. And as of noon today, the total profit of the 4 schools out of interest was about $2,900. And this will provide schools with seed money to continue their work in the new year. So in the last week, Superintendent Montgomery visited Samara Summers' grade 3 virtual class, where Elena Mino, a local Black business owner, was their guest speaker. And she is one of 3 local businesses who have partnered with this class to help them create their Civitas bags of hope. And the students research social issues and have chosen to support both the Ottawa Mission and Furry Tales. So most importantly, right now, we are going to show you quickly how easy it is to buy something from these stores. So if we go to down to this store here, the Civitas products are here. They have 2 products that could be purchased. And Superintendent Montgomery is going to show us how you could easily buy something on here.
Your cart. This is all thanks to Shopify. And then I would go check out. And just like you would this time of year, you would be putting in your credit card information, which I won't do right now. But and then the students immediately get the results of how many items have been sold, and it's very exciting for them. So,
thank you. So in conclusion, we are always looking to add partners, mentors, and guest speakers. We have added guest speakers this year, and many of our classes have been engaged in learning. In fact, Dr. Turnbull connected with 4 classes today and did an excellent presentation on homelessness and poverty in our city. We continue to focus on making diversity a priority in our mentors and guest speaker support. and we are always recruiting. So feel free to share this opportunity. And if you would like to be a guest speaker at any time, please let us know. And our goal is to continue to increase the number of schools. And we are working closely to work on increasing the number of intermediate secondary schools as well.
So thank you, Mrs. LaSalle. And at this point, we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Trustee Armstrong, then Trustee Coburn.
Through you, Mr. Chair. My question is, the social entrepreneurship program, do you encourage the students to come up with a business plan before they get started?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm pleased to answer that. Yes, absolutely. So the process starts with each class is paired with a business mentor in the community. So the whole focus is on ensuring that you have both an educator and a mentor supporting the students. So the business mentor comes with that business experience, and the educator comes with the educator experience, and together they work with the students to create a plan. So generally what happens, teachers will ask, they'll open it up to their students, and they'll ask them maybe just openly, what are some social issues? What are things you're worried about in your community? What do you see happening? Who needs our help? With the little kids, it starts with, who needs our help around here? And then they work from there. And then they start to do a lot of research into different social issues. They choose a social issue that they want to pursue, and then they connect it with a charity as well.
Just a second, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Short second.
Go ahead.
Okay. And as far as seed money, they're able to apply for repayable loans from OCSB?
Yes. So generally what happens through you, Mr. Chair, what happens is for the seed money, many of the schools actually go to their parent council, and the students actually prepare a proposal and a presentation, and this has happened already this year with many of our schools, and they request a loan, a repayable loan. And they've done that in the past, and that's generally where they get their seed money. Sometimes the principal of the school, they often or almost always do a presentation to the principal to sell the idea, so they make sure that they are able and have permission to go ahead and start this project. And generally, to be honest, at the end, the parent council often just donates the money to the charity, but they don't usually tell the children that at the beginning. They they wait until the end, and then it's a big bonus for them.
Trustees will all be going home tonight and building their online stores. Thank you.
Trustee Coburn.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. So as the CFO of your recipient organization at the Ottawa Mission, you can pass along my thanks to the students who have done this. So this is a great initiative. This is an initiative that's taking over the charitable world. And in particular, in times of COVID, charities are struggling throughout not only the national capital, but across the nation. So it's nice to hear Shopify is donating the software as the wealthiest company in Canada. It's nice to see that they're contributing to this process. My question is, and it's great that it's being done at an elementary level. My question is, I think this would be a tremendous initiative at the secondary level as well, and wondering if you have any plans to expand it beyond elementary level.
Yes, so through you, Mr. Chair, and that's an excellent question, and that's something we have been working on. We have had intermediate secondary schools participate in the past. When we were working with the Learning Partnership, the program was limited because it generally started in December and it ended in April. And that's where, now that we've developed this program within the OCSB, we're able to really promote this as a full year, that it's embedded in everything you do, it's embedded in the curriculum. And I do believe that, and this is our first year doing this, so I believe that next year we'll probably be getting more interest from the intermediate secondary schools as well. And we also work closely now with our experiential learning consultant, and she supports K to 12, and she is supporting us with moving it into high school.
Thank you. And just another shameless plug, but I know our director's aware of this, but the Ottawa Mission is expanding their food services training program. People would have seen the food truck that's being run around the city. So that's a social enterprise that's been developed. And so if you're ever looking for a speaker from the Ottawa Mission, I'll volunteer myself, or probably more appropriately, somebody that works within the sector more closely with frontline people.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Curry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Kim, I just want to get clarification. So this is a class decision, and the whole class participates in the project or in the initiative, whatever it is. Is that how it goes?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Absolutely. Yes. So it's a whole class that participates, and often in schools, it's more than one class. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 classes that come together in a partnership, and we're seeing that more and more every year. And we're seeing growth every year. So I'll just give you an example. When I started, when I was in the classroom, I was involved in this venture with the Learning Partnership, and we had about 5 schools in the whole school board, and one class per school. And the last few years, we've seen so much growth. Last year we were over 25 schools. This year with COVID, we knew there probably would be a little bit of a reduction in numbers, but we're quite impressed that we have 19 schools involved and 22 teachers this year.
Thank you.
Trustee Lawrence.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Kim or to Superintendent Montgomery. Can you give us if you have, any comments that the kids have made about what they've experienced? Like any snippets of their evaluation of it?
Mm-hmm. Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'd be pleased to answer that. We always work with our teams in ensuring that there's also that student voice. So schools put together lots of documentation as they go along, and we have a network of educators that get together and they share the documentation. And lots of the feedback that we hear is that students are learning about collaboration, but they're also learning, given lots of choice in the roles that they can take on. So and we hear a lot as well from educators that it's their students that sometimes don't always participate in things, and they're the ones that shine in this opportunity because there is so much choice involved. So yes, definitely, we get student feedback and we get parent feedback every year, and it's always very positive about what they're learning, and a lot is about relationship building and learning to work with others.
Okay, a follow-up, Mr. Chair, please.
Go ahead.
And it's always, I'll just say, social justice issues or partners that they're taking on. I mean, we're not making them into new capitalists, are we?
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, it's always charities that they're supporting, and we work closely with our religious and family life coordinator and consultant to ensure that they are charities that do represent Catholic social values. So we do have an excellent resource in our board that's updated every year with recommended charities, and that's a resource that the educators use with their students.
Thank you. It's, again, just such a wonderful example of deep learning. Congratulations. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Simpson.
Just a quick comment as a former executive director of a nonprofit, UVille Center. I really applaud the work that you're doing, and having been very involved with the social enterprise at Operation Come Home also, it's a wonderful thing to have young people working on this kind of endeavor. My question is, and I'm assuming that the answer is going to be, it's really impacted student engagement. Well, what impact have you seen on student engagement when it comes to participating in this kind of thing?
Yeah. Through you, Mr. Chair. Definitely, we hear from the teachers, from all of the educators, from the mentors, that they see so much engagement from their students, and like I mentioned before, it's those students that sometimes are not always engaged. And I've seen it for myself in the 4 years I was involved in the classroom with this focus, that every single student has a place in the program, and you do see, and we always said at the beginning, and any of the educators that have taken this on, it's really messy in the beginning, and we stick with it and we let the kids, and it's not easy, and they learn that, and that's one thing they talk a lot about is making those mistakes and having those challenges, because choices have to be made for the whole project. A choice eventually has to be made, let's say in a charity or a product and that sort of thing. So there's lots of life lessons that are being learned all the time throughout.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Can I get a mover, please? Trustee Coburn and Trustee McEwen. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Student Success Elementary dated December 10th, 2020, entitled Social Entrepreneurs Program be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, ladies. Item L3, memo from the Superintendent of Planning Facilities, read 2020-2021 school renewal budgets and recommended work. Welcome, Superintendent Val.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair. We're pleased to bring forward the 2020-21 school renewal budgets and recommended work for the coming year. The Ministry of Education continues to fund school boards across the province to address ongoing school renewal and accommodation needs. Ian Baxter, our Manager of Planning Construction, will provide you with an overview of our capital renewal plan and planned projects for the upcoming construction season. Ian?
Thank you, Superintendent Vala, and good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, trustees have in front of them a memorandum regarding a school renewal work plan for the 2020-2021 school year. This is a report that we bring forward every year that provides recommendations for projects funded from the school renewal allocation and school condition improvement grants received from the Ministry of Education. Although there are slight differences between these two grants, both are allocated for the renewal of our school building inventory. School Condition Improvement, or SCI, is a capital renewal program that allows school boards to renew and revitalize building components and systems that have exceeded their useful life cycle. An example of an SCI project would be the replacement of a roof at a school. School renewal allocation, or SRA, includes both a capital and a maintenance element. While a majority of the grant is focused on capital, up to 40% may be used for repair and maintenance work. An example of SRA maintenance is the annual summer student painting program. For the 2020-2021 school year, the SRA allocation from the ministry is just over $7.7 million, while the SCI allocation is approximately $15.96 million. Combined, the figures represent nearly $24 million of investment into our schools. In keeping with the board's strategic commitments, we strive to create welcoming learning environments where both students and staff can be community and be well. We support deep learning throughout our system with the objective of creating modernized school facilities, flexible instructional spaces, and places for teachers and learners to be innovative. An important goal is to balance expenditure levels to meet a broad range of system needs. We are also tasked with ensuring that the board is able to meet its regulatory and health and safety requirements. The recommended 2020-2021 plan includes areas of need for the renewal of major capital building components and systems. Included are upgrades to heating, mechanical, electrical, windows, masonry, and plumbing. Some of this work serves multiple goals. An LED lighting project results in lower energy consumption and a brighter look to our schools, while ventilation and air quality improves with the implementation of more efficient air handling units in our schools. Annual repair and maintenance program work is also part of the plan. The installation of new carpets and tiles, paving repairs, energy management, grounds improvement programs, and locker and door replacements. In addition to the more typical renewal work we engage in, some of the unique projects included in the 2020-2021 plan are the installation of handicap stage lifts at St. Paul High School and Notre Dame High School, a continuation of the phased improvements being done at Assumption Elementary School in Vanier, the commencement of a recladding project at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Elementary School, and in combination with the future construction of an addition to St. James Elementary School, we're doing a number of additional renovation and renewal projects. The recommended plan tonight is attached as Appendix 1 for school renewal allocation projects in the amount of $7,700,000, and as Appendix 2 for school condition improvement projects totaling $15,964,000. It's important to note that the approved plan should be considered a dynamic planning document. Facility staff will work over the winter with consultants to more fully scope out projects and budgets, and in some cases identify specific schools and sites. A few words regarding other important and related capital programs. The temporary accommodation allocation is a grant reserved for the purchase, relocation, and repair of portable classrooms. The grant calculation is based on the board's historical portable activity, and the figure for this school year has increased to approximately $1.3 million. For the coming school year, a majority of the dollars will be used to relocate existing portables as required. The need for renewal work to the CEC building is ongoing. Included in the report is a recommendation for the funding of the replacement of 5 rooftop ventilation units. Tender results in the spring were higher than anticipated, and unfortunately, we had to move that work to the summer of 2021. We are requesting funds to complete the installation of the rooftop units and other smaller related projects. The COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream, or CVRIS, is a federal stimulus program introduced in response to the pandemic to fund work that serves to improve physical distancing, occupant health and safety, distance learning, and overall facility condition. After an internal review under a very tight timeline, we submitted a list of CVRIS projects to the ministry in mid-November. We'll report back to the board with the results of the process once they are known, and that's likely to be in early February. Note that some of the projects included in tonight's renewal plan are eligible under CVRIS and have also been submitted to that program for funding. We also wanted to make trustees aware of the possibility of receiving future dollars via the Climate Action Incentive Fund. This is a federal program to fund projects which result in a decrease in energy usage and a reduction in carbon pollution levels. There are no set timelines yet, but should funding be allocated, we are considering the implementation of a solar panel system pilot project at 1 or 2 of our sites. Lastly, we intend on continuing with the completion of renewal projects originally approved by the board as part of last year's work plan, but still outstanding. A majority of this work will be undertaken on a carry-forward basis during the 2020-2021 school year. We thank you for the time this evening, and staff are here to answer any questions trustees may have.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Any questions or comments? Trustee Armstrong and Trustee Curry.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Just in regards to the COVID-19 infrastructure stream, you mentioned that you may have some outdoor classroom projects. I was just wondering what that would look like and how many we are hoping to build.
If I may answer that through you, Mr. Chair. So we're looking at installing, first of all, outdoor routers so that we can have an outdoor classroom, I guess, with some technology as well in the outdoor spaces. We've submitted one space for every school in the system, and we're looking at creating an area where kids could assemble and congregate in a way that they can learn. So whether it's benches or some sort of structure that's in place for that kind of activity, we're also looking at probably trying to include some sort of shade structure as well to get them out of the sun or out of the weather. So that'll be developed once it's approved. Certainly it's a modest amount that we've asked per site, but we are looking at trying to do that at every site. And considering that the landscape contractors are probably easier to get a hold of or find than we would in trying to find more electricians or more HVAC contractors, we're hopeful that if we do get approved with that, we should be able to roll it across the city with probably some standardized designs for the schools.
And just a second, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Curry.
The second question, Mr. Chair. Just a
Go ahead.
second. In relation to the Climate Action Incentive Fund, could you explain a little bit more about how a net metering solar system works?
Through you, Mr. Chair. As most people are familiar, we do have a few of these, what they call feed-in tariff systems, where they're metered and sold the electricity back to the grid. In a net metered situation, you actually use the electricity you generate through the time of day and only return power if you create more than you're consuming. Most of the time, our buildings consume more power than you can generate. And so what we're looking at introducing is systems that other boards have done. And my experience has been at a previous school board where we've installed solar arrays. They're much similar like the others, but it's really the infrastructure that produces power into the school and is used on site rather than going out back in.
Thanks. That clarifies things. Thank you.
Trustee Curry, then Trustee Coburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This would be to Superintendent Bala or Manager Baxter. With regard to the board office rooftop ventilation units, they were tendered last spring, but the tenders were too high, I guess. I suppose because of COVID. So you're going to retender. Is there more money allocated to that now, or are you expecting that the tenders will be lower than they were?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we've made accommodations to be a little bit more than our original budget, but not to the levels that we saw. From the time of COVID, there was an uncertainty of supply, manufacturing, products, and pricing. So I think numbers were exaggerated, and I don't think contractors had a good sense of what their costs would be to build. So I think we should see closer to the numbers that we expect. So our budget, we're pretty confident that we're going to be able to stay within that number that we've got put together, considering where the markets are today compared to where they were last April, May, June last year.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Coburn.
Asked and answered. Thank you, Trustee Curry.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee, what?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. Through you, just a quick one. I noticed at Notre Dame there is money being allocated for the lift, and there's also some money being allocated for theater improvements. I just want to go back to, I recall there was an issue with the rigging system on the stage, and I know that was a rather expensive project, and there were some safety concerns. Just can you provide an update with where we're at? Has that been finished, or is that sort of an ongoing project at the moment?
Through you, Mr. Chair. First of all, yes, there were some challenges around the fire separation, the fire blanket, and some of the sprinkler system that was in place, along with some of the riggings for the lights and the curtains. That work is underway. And so I guess the fire separations, that work will be sort of compliant with the current codes. The piece that we have brought forward tonight is the other parts around accessibility. So at this point, we're going to be able to have individuals that have mobility challenges, whether they're in wheelchairs or whatever, to be participatory in the class or in the auditorium, and to be able to get up on stage. So we're dealing with some of the exiting, some of the seating adjustments, and renew the space in that way for the. I think the seating in itself is going to be replaced as part of this project. So a realignment, dealing with handicap operators to the doors, and a lift to get onto the stage. So it certainly will bring it closer to a barrier-free and an inclusive space.
I appreciate that, Miro, and I'm glad to see it's all sort of working in tandem, that we're doing a lot of that work together. So thank you very much.
Is there any final questions? Trustee Moore?
Thank you. Sorry, I lost my mute button. Through you, Mr. Chair. Superintendent Valor and Mr. Baxter, I want to ask again about the net metering of the solar. And my question is more, why only 2 schools? If it sounds like it really could save us a fair bit of money over 80 sites. Just a quick question about why you made that decision.
Through you, Mr. Chair. At this point, we're anticipating in around about $1 million allocation from preliminary speculation. So the announcements haven't been made. I certainly would be supportive of introducing more. There are physical challenges on every site. Not every roof can carry solar panels. Not every building has the electrical infrastructure to do that work. So you would have to upgrade a lot of the core pieces in order for these to go. So not every building is suited for it. So you've got to find the right match. So I think that with time, we probably would be able to do significant numbers, but I would guess that maybe only about half the schools would be able to receive an array that would actually be able to carry it on a roof, and the electrical infrastructure could be put in place. So yeah, at this point, I think we're trying to be ambitious with a couple of them to see how it goes, because we've never done that. And again, they are very limited to the regulatory pieces as to how large you can make them before you get into some real challenges with the electrical authorities. So, and we're looking forward to doing it if we do get approved for it.
And will this put you back to number 1, sir?
Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yes, 3 years.
Any other questions besides that comment? Thank you very much for your presentation, gentlemen. Enlightening as always. Enlightening. It's not even a gas joke.
Oh.
Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Trustee Coburn, second by Trustee Curry. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Planning Facilities dated December 9, 2020, entitled 2020-2021 School Renewal Budgets and Recommended Work be received, and that the recommended projects and funding sources for school renewal allocation and school condition improvement contained therein be approved, and that the board authorize the expenditure of $700,000 for improvements to the CEC to be funded by the accumulated surplus internally appropriated fund, and that's the Catholic Education Center Fund. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 4, memo from the Superintendent of Leading and Learning, Advent celebrations across our system. Superintendent Keeley, welcome.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Advent is a season focused on waiting and preparation. Its purpose is to look forward to the coming of Christ to earth. Within the Ottawa Catholic School Board, we have been engaging in our preparations throughout the system and at all levels. With the additional challenges of COVID, staff have had to be creative as well as inclusive. Some of the events have included, all of our events have included our virtual students and staff. Some of those examples include the Religion and Family Life Department have created an Advent calendar to share on social media, asking our students and staff how they are preparing and looking forward to Christ's coming at #OCSB Advent. As well as at the Catholic Education Center, we held our Advent liturgy this past week, and we had a live stream so that all staff could join in. Our arts consultants have created and shared an interactive Advent calendar for students and teachers that provides them with a daily Advent art activity. Our schools have also been fully engaged in many different Advent activities, too many to mention here this evening, but we have included a snapshot of some of the activities in this Twitter moment. I hope you will see that even amongst the challenges of this year, we have many things to celebrate, including how we immerse ourselves in the Advent season at the Ottawa Catholic School Board. So these are just some of the things that our schools have been involved in. So as you can see there is a number of activities that went on both at high school, virtual, and elementary schools, all in keeping with, of course, the OPH guidelines. And it's just a quick snapshot, again, to remember that there is joy and celebration during this time, even amongst COVID. And I welcome any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. And that's part we got to remember is it's still Christmas and Advent, and the kids. It's very much a glorious time of year. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Well presented. Can I get a mover, please? Trustee Armstrong. Seconder. Trustee McEwen. The memorandum from the Superintendent of Leading and Learning dated December 9, 2020, entitled Advent Celebrations Across Our System be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Memo from the Superintendent of Finance and Administration, re Ottawa Student Transportation Authority update for November 2020. Superintendent Shimmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So our last OSTA update was for November, and that was just 2 weeks ago due to the way the OSTA board meetings fall. So since that time, during that 2-week period, there was no significant operational changes to report. So you'll notice the update is very similar to the one that we had on our most recent update, our most recent board meeting. There were, however, some significant governance changes that I would like to bring forward to you tonight. And that being on December 7th, the OSTA board held their annual general meeting in order to appoint and elect new officers of the board and new members to the board. So appointed that night to the OSTA board was Trustee Joanne McEwen, as well as Trustee Cindy Simpson as the trustee reps to OSTA, as well as an alternate would be Chair Mark Mullen. Additionally, from the Ottawa Carleton board, there is a returning trustee member, Jennifer Jenkins, as well as a new member, trustee member, Chris Ellis, who had previous experience on that board. So it provides a balance of experience and new trustees to the OSTA board. Also important to point out is that our trustee Joanne McEwen is also serving as chair for the OSTA board. And I understand that she has previous or former experience serving as the chair on the OSTA board. So that will serve OSTA very, very well. Two other things I'd just like to highlight is at that meeting, the AGM, Vicki, the manager, gave a summary of the year the affairs of OSTA. And you may be interested in looking at those minutes and reading through the summary of the year, because there was, going back through that memory, there's some significant changes. And the first line of her report to the board is there such thing as a regular year anymore? So as you can imagine, it was a very unprecedented year. So some interesting information in that report. During the public session on December 7th, she did provide as well an operational update on the services that you may be interested in. So at the start of the school year, we did begin with 68 routes that were fully canceled. And that was due to lack of drivers from the first day of school to the end of September. So since that time, as a result of some reconfiguring, some shuttle runs, some moving students to public transit, some vans, new contractors, some new coach drivers, we have moved to, at the time of the report on December 7th, she was reporting 5 partial routes that have been canceled long term. I checked on the website today because those are reported on a real-time basis on the website. And as of today, there are no routes for our board, the OCSB. However, there are 6 routes for the public board. So great improvement from 68 routes down to 6 routes that have been canceled. There are still periodic short-term cancellations where there are isolation requirements that OPH places on the drivers, and so those do affect it on a short-term basis. But for the replenishment of the drivers onto those canceled routes, it's looking really, really good. So I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. First, of course, congratulations, Trustee McEwen. Do you have anything to add to the report? No? Okay. Any questions? Sorry, Superintendent Shields.
I forgot to add that the outgoing trustee members, Trustee John Curry and Trustee Jeremy Wood, just a thank you for your leadership through some, not only this past year has been an unprecedented year, but prior years with tornadoes and floods. So thank you for your service on that board as well.
Yes, the board thanks you. Any questions? Trustee Armstrong.
I'm just trying to, through you, Mr. Chair, just trying to visualize this. Can you give us some feedback on the rollout of the 2-step e-whistle system for crossing guards? Because I'm just wondering, I'm visualizing wearing a mask and trying to blow the whistle. Have they brought that in yet?
I don't think that was part of the report.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. That's the Ottawa Safety Council, which is a separate entity from OSTA.
Does any, well, just interested to know whether that's been implemented or not. That's fine if you can't answer it.
How about you take that back and you can take it offline?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to do
send me an email. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Can I get a mover, please? Trustee McEwen? Moved by Trustee McEwen, seconded by Trustee Simpson. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Finance and Administration dated December 9, 2020, entitled Ottawa Student Transportation Authority Update for November 2020 be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. New business. We actually have some new business. It was Trustee Sandra Moore's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Sandra.
Another one?
A little belated. Yeah, we tend to come around once a year.
Every 6 months, whether I need it or not.
You must
You
be
get
up to
doubly
100
old.
by now, are you, Sandra?
Can I have a mover for the confirmation of the action report, please? Trustee Coburn, Trustee Moore. That the action report covering the period of November 24, 2020 be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Inquiries, administrative announcements. Superintendent. Director D'Amico, do you have an announcement?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have several, given that it's the last board meeting of 2020. I would like just to comment to begin by mentioning that you saw from the Advent presentation by Superintendent Keeley, many of our students are taking part in Advent activities and raising and donating funds for local charities. But I'd like to point out that we also saw some wonderful generosity this week from Gregory Abukar of Reynolds Restaurant, located at Clyde and Carling. St. Elizabeth's School, supported by Trustee Sister Shelley Lawrence. They received last week 250 free meals from Reynolds Restaurant. And when they delivered the meals, he also brought with him $5,000 in gift certificates so that every student would have a gift from McDonald's. And that was just an amazing piece of generosity. And then it was replicated today. So today he repeated that gesture for Dr. F.J. McDonald, a school supported by Trustee Whittet. So it's wonderful to see a member of our business community donating to our schools to make sure that all students have a wonderful Christmas and a meal along with a gift. So I did want to share that as one administrative announcement. And the second one, Mr. Chair, is it's my pleasure to present one of our trustees with a service pin. I'll demonstrate the lovely silver pin recognizing 20 years of service as a Catholic School Board trustee, and that is for Mr. John Curry. So I will just say a couple comments as we present the pin. Normally we would present it in person, John, but we will make arrangements to get this pin to you. Some participating on this video call may not be aware of the many talents and accolades that Trustee John Curry has received, both as a trustee and as an active member of our community. John has had a successful career as a journalist that has spanned over 40 years. He's the previous owner of the Stittsville News. He has continued to be involved in writing for local community newspapers, including Metroland Media. John was the previous publisher of the Constance Bay Cottager, an area where many of our board employees enjoy cottage life. John's a founding member of the Goulburn Museum. He served on the board's historical committee for many years. He was the first chair of the Holy Spirit Parish Council, member of the Knights of Columbus, member of the Rotary Club, and member of Lions Club. John's written a book, produced a film on the history of Richmond. He's also currently involved in several other book projects. He's received many community awards, too many to name, but I will mention that he is the past recipient of the Goulburn Citizen of the Year. John has been a Catholic trustee since the year 2000, where he's become a bit of a folklore for his graduation poetry. He's also the poet laureate for our trustees, taking care of the tributes for retiring members of our senior exec team and other trustees. He has served on many board committees, including SEAC, SAL, OSTA, the Historical Committee, Honors and Award, Suspension and Expulsion Committee, the Policy Committee, and he was the driving force for the board's 150 years of Catholic education book to ensure that our Catholic identity remained at the forefront of what we do. In 2018, as a group, you nominated John for the OCSTA Trustee Award of Merit, which he was a recipient for his contributions to Catholic education. So it's my honor to present John Curry with his 20-year pin in recognition of stellar service to the Ottawa Catholic School Board. So thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much. As you see, I'm wearing my pin from 15 years. So
speech.
I have to replace this. Thank you very much. When you line that all up and talk about it, I guess it's quite a recitation of things, but I always think take it one day at a time and try to do the best you can, and be thankful for all the gifts that God has given you, and try to use them to the betterment of everyone. And that's what I try to do, and I think that's what a lot of people try to do. So I'm only one of many, and it's always been in my service on the board, a team effort. That we're a team. We're not. It's not individual accomplishments, but it's our accomplishments as a team to make sure that Catholic education is strong and vibrant in the Ottawa area. And I think our team is doing a good job at that. So thank you very much for the pin, Mr. Director, and we'll see where it all leads. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Chair, on behalf of the superintendents and the other staff that take part in all of our board meetings, we would like to wish all of the trustees and your families a safe and Merry Christmas. And we wish best wishes for each of you a 2021 year, hopefully filled with hope. So thank you and Merry Christmas to each of you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Amico. Congratulations, John. And you bring a unique perspective to the board. And it's been a pleasure serving with you for the last 20 years. Before I ask for a motion adjournment, I would like to say the same thing, that wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a very safe and happy New Year, and take some time to relax, recharge, and stay safe more than anything. And we'll see you again back in January. We're going to sign off and go to do our Christmas wishes through the other link. And everybody take a 5-minute break. Say we reconvene at 5 after 9 or 10 after 9, and that gives everybody a chance to get a cup of coffee or whatever. So a motion to adjourn, please. Trustee Whitted. Second by Trustee Lawrence. That the regular board meeting of the board of December 15th, 2020 be adjourned at 9 p.m. All in favor?